Welcome back, folks, to another episode of the Lone Wolf Howlcast, howling out for logic and reason in a world that has surpassed crazy. You know what, Tiral? I figured it out. I know what comes after crazy. They've gone plaid. The world has gone plaid.
Oh no, Spaceballs, great
Yeah,
movie. Uh,
2021 said to 2020, hold my beer.
2021 just seems like 2020 with a wig on, man. I'm really upset.
Yeah, we're making jokes about it, folks, and obviously we're adding some levity to it. But things have gone from serious to extremely serious now, especially in the South, of all places, where they're suffering through a winter that I don't think they've experienced in recent history at all. From what I was able to tell, I might be wrong on that, Thrall.
No, you're right. The last time something like this happened was 1981-ish, which is, almost 40 years ago.
Yeah, and we've had like a technological revolution since then,
Yeah,
with satellite storm tracking and all sorts of things. So
right. I think the one in the past was a freak occurrence. The one that's happening now is actually we can get into it more in a bit, but this might be a regular thing.
you think that this type of storm rolling through the South might occur winter 2021 into 2022?
Yeah, based on my readings on some of the effects on climate change, as I might have previously explained, I'm a climate change researcher. The polar vortex, the science behind the polar vortex is still forming, like it's still in dynamic and people are learning new things. But I can get into later how this is actually going to be a regular event. Maybe not this severe, but the Midwest, uh, going all the way down to the South, experience this type of cold may just become the new norm.
But climate change isn't real, obviously.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean,
clearly
come
not.
on,
Yeah, I mean,
come on.
yes, it's a
That's
hoax.
sarcasm, folks.
Yeah,
Clearly, it's a very real thing. And now, after all the deniers and the politicians decided to take money instead of help the climate, now the poor folks in the South and especially Texas are suffering the fallout from it.
well, I mean, the it's really incredible how corrupt the Texan politicians have been, and this is something I wanted to get your take on. Was it that these politicians were always corrupt and incompetent and we didn't know, or did we always know but we lied to ourselves to kind of get through the day, and then seeing it like shocks our lives out of our minds. Um,
Well, Thoreau, your politics foo is vastly stronger than mine. My politics foo is very weak. I honestly didn't know that Texas politicians were as like boss hog corrupt
yeah.
as you're indicating. I do know, however, that good old boy Ted Cruz tried to abandon his state and disappear at Cancun, and then he turned around and blamed it on his daughters and said he didn't want them to travel alone.
uh it's incredible how big of a POS he is,
Mm.
and we knew it. Like, we there's nobody who likes Ted Cruz,
For
regardless of your political.
The YouTube algorithm, that just means point of sale, by the way.
Right, absolutely. But this event, it just boggles my mind. This guy didn't defend his wife from being called ugly. Got named Lying Ted to his face. He sold out his dad because Trump accused his dad being like the JFK killer. So, and now to the list, he sold out his daughter. So he's failed as a husband. He's failed as a son. Failed as a parent.
Well, let me guess. She's got the evangelical and the Protestant vote behind him, right? So that's why he's still in office.
My friend was in the Beto O'Rourke campaign, so I'm just full
What
disclosure there.
campaign?
The
Clarify that.
Beto, the Beto O'Rourke,
Okay.
and Beto O'Rourke lost to Ted Cruz by about 250,000 votes, which isn't a lot. Beto should have won it but the people in the cities didn't turn out like they hoped, or they said they would. And so Ted Cruz had a dogfight in his hands this last Senate election, And I really wonder if uh, people in Texas are happy with their decision. 250,000 in a state as big as Texas is not a lot of people. And this guy is just, I mean, it's not just him though. I mean, I think he's taking most of the brunt because of how just, physically heinous the things he's been doing. Like he left his dog.
Yeah, I'm looking at the New York Magazine, the Intelligencer
Uh,
section, and dude, first of all, it looks like good old Ted Cruz has packed on about 40 pounds, and our boy is rocking a mullet.
he's rocking a power mullet. He's it's I'm gonna say something, right? Ted Cruz looks like his face is melting off normally, but that power mullet on him, like if you look at him head on, doesn't look so bad. He actually looks kind of like all right. But
The only other politician I've ever known to have a mullet was Jesse Ventura when he was governor of Minnesota, I think.
yes, he was. Yeah,
Yes, yeah, wow, I remember that, and that was years ago. And I believe he had his '80s hair until he started losing his hair for most of that. But wow, yeah, and on top of that, as you said, this oh man, choice words, but we're still under the YouTube algorithm here, so I gotta retain myself for another 20 seconds. But yeah, this guy, he had left his dog unattended in
you
the
want to hear
house.
the
Now,
save
okay,
on that one?
well, hang on. I'm assuming it's not like my house or your house. It's probably a rather large house with plenty of places for the dog to be, and probably has its own playroom for all we know. But still, you don't abandon your dog.
The dog that called Snowflake. By the way, he named his dog
Yeah, I
Snowflake.
saw that in the article I'm looking at in the New York Magazine.
He abandoned the dog in the cold mansion. And then, like, when things started coming up and he tried to do the save, they had, like, the security guard of the house or mansion um, say, like, oh, he left the dog with me. I
Yeah,
don't believe it for a second. Like,
dude,
like,
I don't remember. I don't believe that
oh.
at all. That is, well, he's being a politician, so of course he's lying to his through his teeth.
Yeah, I mean, how do you leave your dog? Okay, you're gonna be a POS. You take your family out when you should be a leader. Your family can go. No one cares about your family, your daughters or whatever. He threw his daughters underneath the bus. He threw his wife underneath the bus. And
And
then
correction, we're past the YouTube algorithm now, so POS at this point, folks, means piece of shit. By the
very big, very large.
way.
He threw his own kids underneath the bus
Yep.
and then got sold out by his neighbors who turns out hate him. His own neighbors hate him because when he was saying his first uh like excuse was, "Oh, my daughters were cooped in. They really wanted to leave, just get out of the place." And as a dad, I wanted to take them to Mexico, make sure they're okay over there. Then I come back, and then like his neighbors release text conversations between their wife and them, his wife and them, and then his wife is like, "Oh, let's all go to Cancun for a week or 2 weeks. It's only $300 a day. Just get your COVID tested and we can go." And it was just like this dick was just lying to his teeth. He left his dog. He left. I mean, he's. I. I was listening to some political commentators from the right, and I was surprised. Even they were like, Ted Cruz needs to resign. Like his career is over.
Yeah, because he's pretty far right. He's one of those fire and brimstone religious guys from the South.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he's very. I mean, he single-handedly shut down the government once for no reason, just to tell people he could do it for his own ego. That cost people a lot of first responders uh, a lot of money
Yeah,
because
it
the
probably
budget
cost the taxpayers a shitload of money while he did
a,
that too.
a huge amount. Yeah, like but I'm talking about first responders specifically because in that year the government shutdown made everyone like have a hiring freeze and like a wage freeze, and there were all these like consequences that were absolutely unnecessary, but he did it. So this guy is just the
with
worst.
impunity,
Yeah,
clearly with impunity because he still has a job.
I mean, I mean, I have family and friends in Houston and Dallas. When I immigrated to this country, the first place I immigrated to was Houston. This week, two of the most amazing human accomplishments happened from Houston. We had NASA um, put a second rover in Mars, a
I want to
bigger one.
comment on that real quick. I don't want to get
Sure.
off too far off track, but
I'm just saying Houston
uh,
is a fantastic city. It's a great city. It's a city that accomplishes things.
yeah, I wanted to say though it would have been great if Perseverance had a replacement battery for Opportunity, and there'd be like a shot of the two rovers like hugging it out.
Oh God, man, don't make me get emotional.
One
That would
sex.
have been,
I'm dropping the one sex here right now.
yeah, that
Thinking
is.
about it.
I
That what
mean,
was it?
it's not,
Was
it
it
wasn't.
Opportunity that put out that last message that battery's getting low and the sun's going down?
Yeah,
Ah, that
yeah, I
still
feel
hits me
cold.
so hard.
Yeah, it was. Whoever wrote that one was fantastic. There is a small chance. I'm not saying there's a big chance. There's a small chance that the new rover could shove the first rover out of the ditch that it's in. Like it's stuck. That's what got it. It got stuck. So since it's running on solar, the battery may not be dead. It might just be that the solar panels are stuck and everything.
Mhm.
And today was the first roto drone in Mars. Like, the Jet Propulsion Lab in Houston designed a two-wing helicopter drone, and it unfurled today. So we can get aerial shots of Mars now.
So we can finally prove that there's a face on Mars. Got
Sure. Yeah.
it.
I'm all for it. I mean, but you know, it's just sad that the week that kind of accomplishments happen, we have
Really a national tragedy
yeah,
unfolding down there because I was looking up some news articles. First of all, I have family that lives down there. One of them had her pipes burst in her house. Like we live in the northeastern U.S. where it's going to be cold and it's going to suck in the winter months. And there's no wood for me to knock on right now, but I've never had to go through that where I lost power and heat and my pipes froze. And we've had, I think, the past few weeks around our area, Terrell, we've dipped down into like the teens. I think even a day or two we hit the single digits,
yeah.
and we're
The
prepared for it. Like I got a closet full of winter coats.
right
I got mountains of blankets because I live in the Northeast.
and nothing. The
Yeah.
so my family there's photos all over the internet about this, but my cousin sent me a photo from Home Depot and Home Depot plumbing aisle, and it was full. It was shoulder to shoulder of people in the plumbing
Hmm.
aisle in Home Depot. So many people's pipes burst because no government official, no public official, no emergency broadcast, no newscast told people what to do to prevent this to happening. And once electricity just went off, there was no power to push water through the pipes and period.
Yeah.
So there could have been ways to adjust for the situation. Like if your power goes out, you could use, there's some things where you can shut off all the pipes. You can try to drain the water from, let's say, any parts of your house out so that doesn't burst. But no, people
Right.
didn't
Not
know.
only that, you figure in an
Yeah.
emergency scenario like this, fill your bathtub, fill up pots with water, and
Right.
then you're gonna have to, I mean, you're gonna have to drain your pipes. Unfortunately,
My friend in Dallas was telling me that I think after day two, people started to take apart their fences to burn, and because people just didn't buy wood, because who buys wood in Texas?
yeah, who
You
buys
know,
firewood, right?
who? Yeah, I even wonder if you can buy firewood. No, you should probably be able to buy firewood, because people like pit fires. But I mean, the people were so incredibly unprepared, and then with zero governmental assistance or leadership or anything like that, it was we have to consider America being a third world country now.
Huh.
We really do. Like at this point, like because whether it's California and with like permanent left wing governments,
Mhm.
or Texas with permanent right wing governments, or New York with permanent left wing governments, we're consistently seeing gross incompetence up and
Mhm.
down. Now there's spots of competency and heroism. I'm not going to take anything away, but when you look at the people up at top, I mean Cuomo, he's trying to hide the whole. He wrote a book that talks about how great of a job he did with COVID-19. Meanwhile, once he releases it, it's raging like wildfire about how he, how many people died because he put COVID patients out of the hospital and into nursing homes.
Mhm.
And we're finding
COVID
out
positive, by the way, not
COVID
recovering
positives. Yeah.
people. Not. I just want to clarify. It wasn't people recovering, and then it was like an altruistic move to be like, okay, these people are recovering, move them out of the hospital to free up for beds for people that are infected. No, it was COVID positive people that were currently infected that were moved in to
Right.
nursing homes.
Yeah. And the nursing homes got infected by COVID because they're not built to have containment facilities.
Yeah.
And again, everything hasn't been hammered out, but the suspicion now is that some of the biggest lobbyists and campaign contributors were from the hospital system, and the hospitals were like, "We're losing money, putting beds for COVID patients. Get them out of here." And that's why he did what he did. His science staff, like the committee, all of them resigned. These were things that we didn't know, and because it wasn't news, no one knew about it, and now we're finding out. So in New York, we're finding gross incompetence. In Texas, we're finding gross incompetence with Cruz, with the governor blaming wind power for what's going on. Meanwhile, the
Oh yeah,
entire
wait. I gotta say something about the wind power too.
tell me,
So I was just, cruising through some articles real quick just to look up some more facts here. It's so damn cold in Texas that the wind turbines actually froze, and that's one of the major factors of their power grid going down.
so that was a lie by the governor.
Really?
Yeah, and the reason why it's a lie is the wind power in the wintertime is about 10% of the electricity generation, if that, in the wintertime, because the Texas ERCOT system explicitly said you don't have to have wind turbines that are winterized. So we have wind turbines in New York or other parts of Texas outside of ERCOT, or just anywhere cold, and those wind turbines are moving just fine because they've been designed and spec'd for it. But to save on costs, the Texan regulator said, "Don't worry about it. Don't worry about winter, because we're not going to use you in the winter anyway." So the the Texas game plan was always that, like, in low temperature situations, we're not going to be depending on winter anyway. We'll be using thermal, meaning coal, natural gas, nuclear power.
Mm-hmm.
And so the first thing that the governor did was, it's because of wind power that we lost all this, and we have these rolling blackouts. Oh, and then he made up numbers about how much wind power was part of the system in the wintertime.
Yeah,
It's
I can't
it's
believe I just fell for it, and I should have realized because I'm looking at the Washington Post,
mm,
which is has been debunked multiple times as an unreliable source. That's my mistake, folks. I apologize for misleading you
no,
on that one.
it's not your fault, because this is a generalized propaganda tool that's been used since the second Bush, and
Mm-hmm.
it's where you lie early. And because that's the first thing people hear and first thing reporters report on, that's the story that kind of stays.
Mm-hmm.
So like, remember when Attorney General Bill Barr talked about the report about the first impeachment? He, without, it was a thick book, and without even reading a page, he went ahead and did a press conference. Says, the Mueller report acquits President Trump, and that sets the tone. That sets the story. So this was just another, again, this is agnostic of the political, where you are politically. It is just a way for government to dictate the story, really. They do the big lie, and they do it early. So Abbott was blaming renewable power. He was blaming explicitly. He said the Green New Deal, right? And
Yeah.
the crazy part was Texas is in a 2-year negotiation for the Green New Deal. So there is no deal. There is no green renewable energy, push in Texas, other than what it already had, because Texas is so rich in wind, so rich in solar, that even without government help, it's profitable to do those technologies. So you had a politician. Meanwhile, tens of millions of his people are out of electricity. They're cold.
Yeah. Yeah, I
They're
see that a large mattress chain store opened up as a shelter.
Yeah.
A match. It looks like the chain is called Mattress Mac.
It it's just so all these things are going on, and you have the head of government. I mean, when your state is going through trouble, the governor is really calling the shots. You're no longer talking about the president. If the president is involved, then we're talking like National Guard and other things are coming in. But uh, but when the head of the government, your state government, and Texas as an economy and a population size is bigger than all countries except for 4 or 5, you know.
Yeah.
So it's really, if you're governor of Texas, you're a president of a country, basically, almost. When you go up there and you do lies, you do incompetency, and you don't do anything to help your people, what kind of country are we living
Yeah, or you abandon it.
in? Or you,
You
yeah,
take
or
off for
you.
Cancun.
I mean, Ted Cruz is a senator. I mean,
I know,
mm,
but still, he clearly has a lot of sway and
yeah.
holds a lot of power on the home turf.
Oh, we don't hear anything out of the other senator. Every state has 2 senators. Where's Rand Paul? Mr. Jerry Curls and principles, and doing
Mhm.
the family business. He's only in there because his dad was senator for life. Where's that guy? You don't hear a thing about him. Uh, it's just, and let's talk about California for a little bit. California is opening up its schools. It's opening up its economy. It's going through all this stuff. Guess what? The first official named significant mutation of COVID-19 coronavirus happens. Guess where?
Mm.
San
Gee,
Francisco.
I wonder.
Yeah. So you're telling me and this is official. Like there's no conjecture. I was calling it the San Francisco strain before, but now it's they mapped it out, and they're looking at it and like, oh, this is a new strain. This is a real. So California has a strain of coronavirus, excuse me, that is significantly different from everything else. So even if you're vaccinated, you may be only 30 to 50% resistant to it.
Oh,
50%
great.
max. You
That's
know,
awesome.
so now is the time you open up. Now is the time you get the kids to go to school. Oh, so this thing spreads faster? Oh, all right. Fantastic.
Yeah, that drove me nuts when in our immediate area where there was a strong push to open schools for kids again, and like kids were posting all over their Insta and everything, like nobody's wearing masks, they're jammed into the hallways, shoulder to shoulder, and then they're bringing that home.
Let's name another state, and then we can find incompetence. In every state, it's gotten to the point. Florida, the Florida governor, Republican, uh, they've set up the vaccination sites in the 2 richest zip codes, and like whoever was running it created a VIP list. So if you're not rich and not rich enough to get into the VIP list, you can go F yourself.
That should be a crime to be able to do that, something like that, to have that kind of impunity or autonomy to do something like that, you know?
Impunity is a good word for this.
Yeah.
They weren't scared. But by the way, after that's been found out, do you think they stopped it? Do you think they changed it? No,
Nope.
no, nothing. So it's impunity. Like, so and the things that are going on in Texas, it's just getting worse. Like I keep thinking, so I have a good friend from New York that went to Texas, and I called all my family there, and he's in Houston, and I called him, and I got through, and I was like shocked that I got through because everybody else was, no one was answering their cell phones, and he tells me, yeah, like everybody smart or rich just went to downtown Houston and got a hotel room.
Oh, because the
The,
hotels were running on generators,
yeah.
probably.
The downtown hotels were on a microgrid that was separate, and if you could afford it, you can go to a hotel and get electricity, and everything's fine. I mean, and what kind of
Meanwhile, so on
message?
that note, I'm going to jump
Yeah,
in.
yeah, go
So
ahead.
meanwhile, there's some pretty horrible stories coming out. NBC News, and I was looking up the death toll from this, and the top three that they mention, a 60-year-old man sitting in a recliner beside his wife freezes to death. 75-year-old Vietnam vet who went out to his truck to get his oxygen tank froze to death. 11-year-old boy. So this one really hits home. Okay, it's an 11-year-old boy who had his 3-year-old little brother in his bed with him and gave all the blankets to his little brother. The 11-year-old ended up freezing to death. That needs to be presented. I'm going to call out Ted Cruz because he abandoned his state. I don't even know the governor's name because he's probably just a puppet anyway. But this kind of stuff
Abbott.
needs to be dropped on Cruz's doorstep, and I guess Governor Abbott's doorstep too. Like that, you know what people need to? Well, people don't need to do anything that I tell them to do, and it's because I'm getting fired up that I'm saying it that way. But you know, like when you see the roadside memorials, you know what I mean? Like I think that's pretty prevalent up here on the Northeast. I don't know if you see that much down south. You know what I'm talking about, Terrell?
Yeah, it's actually like a Mexican tradition. You see it wherever there's a large Latino population.
Well, anyway, besides
Yeah,
that, well, in that case, Texas definitely qualifies.
right.
There should be roadside memorials like that put up in front of these people's houses. Their leading politicians' houses.
Do you know how I was saying that the public, there should have been ways for the government to just inform the public on how to do things?
I got to tell you, I'm sorry I keep cutting you off, Terrell, but I'm very passionate about this, especially when something could have been done, or at least people could have been warned. Because I was just watching aerial footage, and the highways aren't even plowed. So uh, when we have issues like this, like even for this whatever this is, 3-day storm that's rolling through up here by us, I can't tell you how many times I got emergency service calls on my phone from the town. That it was a robocall from the town, but whatever, comes up as emergency, and I'd listen to it, and it's not even the governor, it's not even the county exec, it's the town supervisor making the effort to make sure everybody within the township knows what's going on, and like, hey, this is what's coming, be prepared, you know.
Well, just to follow up on that about the plows, those roads aren't plowed because Texas doesn't have plows, snow plows ready.
I
That's
lived in
not a
North
thing they're ready
Carolina.
for.
I lived in North Carolina for a little bit, and I lived there through a winter. And man, they got 2 inches of snow, and the same thing happened. They had to shut down their highways because they didn't have plows
Yeah, or
prepped and
salt.
ready to go to
Yeah.
to clear the roadways. And there was I wouldn't say pileups of like multi-car, but like 2, 3, 4 car collisions just with 2 inches of snow.
I mean, it's funny for us, but for them, like if you literally
That's
don't have
true.
any rock salt or any plows, like there's nothing to do. And just to finish up the point I was making about government not informing and follows up what you said, like how the difference in services we're getting versus there. We don't have the numbers out yet, but a lot of people are dying because they never burned things at home. So houses are burning down because they're improperly setting wood on fire indoors. I mean, you don't need a chimney in Texas, so they don't have fireplaces. Then you then I think the first death I've read was one single mom and her son died of carbon monoxide poisoning because no one told them that, hey, if you have to make sure that there's no snow in your tailpipe,
Yeah.
because they went into the car because the car could get warm. They could put gas inside the car, and or the gas was already inside the car, and uh, it could uh, it could warm it up. So this mother and her son died through carbon monoxide poison. Completely
And
preventable.
yeah, exactly. Completely preventable. Now, obviously, Terrell and I, we're not saying that the Texas government could have stopped the storm. No, but when you have, as you mentioned earlier on in the beginning of the Howlcast, right? The last time this happened was somewhere in the 80s, and then I said there's been a technological revolution since then. That we now have, satellite tracking of storms. We have all sorts of National Weather Service advisories. There was plenty of forewarning that this was coming. And their local leaders, all the way up to the top, to Governor Abbott, could have put out some kind of warning, some sort of preparation. Maybe on the off chance, Terrell, and again, I'm just trying to maybe think of these guys in a good light, but just maybe there was a chance that they didn't want to cause a panic and have like people shooting each other over cases of water or something.
Okay, so
Maybe.
I hate this excuse of not wanting to cause a panic. It's like the go-to move for every incompetent politician worldwide for
Yeah,
not alerting people. And It
yeah.
it's like the easiest card that they bring up, and they say with such sincerity. Um, since 1991, officially, ERCOT has been given and getting warnings about weatherization, saying please mandate uh, your pipes, your power plants, your water pumps, nuclear power plants, natural gas, everything to be weatherized. In the
Hmm.
United States, Texas is the only state where I think, as far as I know, and I could be corrected here, but I think it's the only state in the United States that doesn't have weatherization requirement.
We're gonna have to look it up, and I think we'll have to post. We'll
But
add a link in the comments.
yeah, whether it's the only one or not, it is definitely a fact that it doesn't have it.
So I just found a stat real quick. As of yesterday morning, 600 and roughly just under 625,000 people without power. And I think when Sandy rolled through us in the Northeast a few years back, I think we topped out at like half that number.
Yeah. And that was a combination of a hurricane and a winter blizzard together.
Right.
So it was a freak. Sandy's gonna happen again, but it like technically it was like 1 in 100 type. It was a really weird, I'm sorry, freak weather situation.
I mean, we did get what was it, late last year, right? That we got, or it might have even been like around the summer. We got Hurricane. I'm going to say the name wrong, but it was like Isaias rolled through, and that was pretty severe. There was massive damage all over the place from that one as
hmm
well.
hmm
But I think we're getting off topic because I'm starting to rant about the Northeast.
I mean, the thing is, we're going back to this thing where what just happened, literally 100%, without any doubt or qualifications, could have been prevented. None of this had to happen.
Right? Had the government gotten involved and notified the people and
Or,
said,
or
"Look, this is going to be bad. Prepare yourself. Do this, 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 and this."
no,
You
no, I'm
know,
talking about the weatherization part.
yeah.
Like
Well,
this
that'd
is,
be part of it too, right? Like
yeah, like
advance notice to insulate your pipes and all the other stuff. Like you said, like you were
required.
saying just a few minutes ago, clean out the tailpipe on your car, or if for some reason you do have a flue or a chimney flue on your house, clean it out. So you're not getting all the smoke inhalation.
Yeah, go to Home Depot, buy some wood. Like you said, put water in the tub.
And
Uh,
honestly, you want to hear some tragic irony about that, Terrell? Um, the person that I learned to do that from is very near and dear to my heart, and I think you know who she is from the deepest, darkest part of Texas you could be in without being over the Mexican border.
I know
And
who you
that
talk.
individual is the one that taught me that if there's ever a national emergency like that, the first thing you do is fill up your tubs, and then you grab all your pots and you fill them with water too while you still can.
Yeah, and people didn't. They didn't do
Right.
it.
And
It's
there was no instruction at all from their local up to the state government.
to be to give credit where credit is due. This week, Texas was colder than all of Alaska or parts of Alaska. That's hard to fathom. That
Right?
cities in Alaska were warmer than Texas.
That's insane. I mean, you think of Alaska and you think of snowbound wilderness that's always below freezing.
Right. Anchorage is cold. I mean, and the people in Alaska are tough people. And you're
Yeah.
telling me that they had much better weather than people in Texas did? That is,
Are you telling
and
me, Terrell? Are you telling me, Terrell, that I need to start investing in some waterfront property in Alaska because that's where the new summer is going to be? Is that my new summer getaway?
man, the new summer getaway. I think this new summer getaways are going to be more and more north. It might be. We might really invest in Seattle, like, or you know,
Seattle's on fire, sir. There's a
oh yeah, it
domestic
is.
terrorist group that owns Seattle now. Sorry, can't go there.
There's no domestic terrorist group in Seattle. The the thing again, the situation is dynamic. Neither one of us has full control of the truth right now because we don't know the facts on the ground.
Yeah, we're also
As
super far away. We're very
no,
what's
the
the word?
people down there don't know either.
Yeah.
So it's not just because we're far away. Like that's how bad the information has gotten. The I don't want to move on too fast, but there's people right now in Texas that are getting electricity bills over $10,000 this month. Think about that for a second. Imagine through all this disaster, you get
Yeah.
your electric bill and it's $16,000.
So, I was saying earlier, I have family in Texas, and one of them, her pipes did burst. The other one, luckily, thought ahead and has had her water running, and she's fully expecting something like a $3,000 water bill once this is all resolved. And it's like, what do I do? Let my pipes burst and deal with the excessive damage to my house? By the way, I don't know if Texas has that, if homeowners insurance in Texas even offers that kind of coverage. Frozen pipes and then the resultant damage to the house, right? Because you can't. Yeah.
There is some, but like everything in Texas, if you what you think would be rules and policies are not. So I'll give you an example. Like Houston, uh, there's a lot of building on floodplains, and it's not
Mm-hmm.
surprised. Like these are floodplains. Like these have been on the map since the 1800s. Like that kind of thing. And because small government F regulations, they just let people build where they build, and like, well, if something happens on you, and guess what happened a couple summers ago? It flooded, and all these people in Texas had their homes just wiped out. And what did the insurance companies do? Oh, well, your home was in a floodplain, so in our insurance policy, we didn't cover it.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, yeah, they pull shenanigans because you can't. There's no rule, or there's barely any rules over there. So you might think oh, we got this covered, and you don't, just because it's small government, hardcore Republican, and
Also, hardcore religious. Don't forget, Texas has a hardcore religious sector too that backs up the government. Backs up their chosen representatives.
not as big as you think. And so it's in terms of because the so in Houston there's tons and tons of mega churches, but
Isn't
Texas
Joel Osteen? Isn't
in
Joel
Texas,
Osteen
yeah,
from Texas, right?
yeah, yeah. It's the government. Texans and religion is not as like intricately linked like religion in Alabama or Missouri or like other parts of the Midwest. Like I remember, I think it was during McCain run for presidency, and he had that vice president from Alaska. What's her name? What was her?
Sarah Palin, right?
Sarah Palin.
Yeah.
I remember listening to her speech, and she didn't include Texas as part of real America.
Wait a second, Thrall. I'm sorry. Is this what it feels like? Is this what it feels like, by the way, when you know something off the top of your head that I'm stumbling around trying to find? Because I didn't look that up. That was like, boom,
No, no,
ready
no,
to
it's good.
go. Is that what it feels like? That's amazing. I want to do it again.
What'll happen? I mean, when Sarah Palin, who's not the brightest bulb in the bunch, has to
Yeah.
get told what to say, and she's listing off what real America is, and Texas isn't included in as part of real America. That was kind of like a huge wake up call to me to think like, wait a minute, we might have to reevaluate this Texas's place in America and culture. So it's not as it. There's lots of hardcore Christians. There's a huge evangelical community in Texas, but
Mhm.
there again, Ted Cruz only won his state by 250,000 votes. If the people in Houston and Dallas came out just a little bit more, yeah, they would it would have been a rout.
Now that you mentioned, I think I vaguely remember that race because the other guy was a Hispanic guy that was running against him, right?
Oh, Beto O'Rourke. No, no, he was an Irish guy with a Spanish name.
All right, maybe that's why. Maybe that's why the folks got confused. And it's like, well, wait. Where's the guy? That's the guy. That can't be the
Beto.
guy.
What? Yeah, he was this Irish dude when he was a kid. He went to like elementary school, and like there's a lot of Hispanics in his class, so they gave him a nickname, a Spanish nickname, and that just stuck throughout the rest of his life. Then he used the F word in his campaign stops, and he kind of
There you go. That's like, who was that guy that was running for president? It was a few years ago. I think it was against Clinton, Bill Clinton, and he was winning, and he did like this barbarian yell.
oh, Howard Dean.
Yeah,
Yeah, the Howard Dean yell.
yeah, the Howard Dean yell, and like that's it. His numbers tanked and never recovered after that because people thought he was nuts.
Yeah, I mean, also Beto O'Rourke came out against or for heavy gun regulations, and that was
In
no, not
Texas,
gun ban. He wanted to ban the AR-15 after like a school shooting that happened in I forget. I think whether it was in Dallas or I forget which city in Texas it was, but it made like a school shooting happened, and he just was like, "We got to ban these guns. Like, no one needs an automatic assault rifle to protect your home." And that didn't fly too well.
especially not in Texas, man. I mean,
You know, in Texas.
there's humor sites I go to, and there's like chicks with their gun collections, and inevitably they got a Texas flag in the background, and they've got a wall of like 14, 15 different rifles of various size and caliber. And it's like, hey, you can only carry one of those probably.
So this
But
brings up a really good topic, and I love this that you brought it up. Is Texas prides, or a lot of places in the South pride themselves with all the preppers. Like when things go down and the government collapses, they have their guns and they got their powdered meals and things like that. And consistently, what we find is when actually things go bad, these are the first like snowflakes that melt in any adverse situation. Like, where are all the people with electricity generators?
yeah,
Or
where's everybody with the underground bunkers below the frost line?
yeah,
And
when
the gigantic food stores, right?
right. When COVID-19 pandemic hit, the people who you would think would be the preppers and the ones who were prepared and like, okay, I want to be safe, I want to protect my family. They were the first ones like, it's not real. I can't breathe. you know, and when this happened, the first idiots who are like, this is why, you don't run out of gas during the wintertime. And like people had to explain to him, like, no, gas pumps require electricity. He can go to the gas station and can't get anything.
Yep.
Like, so this LARPing that all these people do is getting to the point where like it's aggravating. It's just makes me so angry that these internet tough guys who just keep buying guns and keep buying bullets. I'm a gun aficionado. I think both of us are Second Amendment rights people.
Supporters, yeah, definitely.
And I hate that no one can go out shooting anymore because bullets are too expensive if you can find it.
If you can even get it. So I got a funny. You know what? I was about to segue into another tangent from that, but I think gun rights will be another episode because I got a long story about that. But we're definitely stepping away from the chaos in Texas.
I mean, the
It's
point is that there's these people. This is a real legit catastrophe caused by a natural disaster, made worse by government. So who would you think would have been the most ready amongst the population to handle this?
the preppers,
Yeah, and guess who's just melted,
or
just fall. Yeah,
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Terrell. I'm doing that a lot tonight, and I apologize. I try not to, but you'd even think that the mega churches. I haven't seen. I was looking while you and I have been talking. I've been looking to see if any of the mega churches have opened up as shelters, and I haven't found a story about that yet.
that's because they don't. I mean, in New Orleans, and every time there's been a natural disaster, everyone always keeps saying that these mega churches are going to open their doors, and they never do. Like the Joel Osteen, I think one time during that flood I was telling you about in Houston, they had to like shame him over 2 weeks, I think, or a week and a half to open his doors as a shelter, and he refused. And finally, like it got like the PR got too bad, and he finally did. Like these mega churches are for-profit businesses. There's no profit in working as a community shelter. So I didn't expect that. Like every time, every single situation, you don't see churches really helping people. You see them make things worse.
Oh, you know how I feel about that, sir. We did the whole episode a while ago about immersion and brainwashing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we did that all about religion, pretty much.
There was this survey I was listening to about where the researchers went through a sampling of churches all across America, especially the big ones. And one consistent thing they kept finding was when the churches went online, their donations dropped precipitously. People who would go through church services online just didn't donate nearly as much, like 80% less.
Yeah.
So they realized, like you can see from the map, like okay, when just from the calendar, like when they were holding Sunday church services online, and then almost all of them around the same time stopped. They went back to in person. Nothing changed in terms of government advisory. Nothing changed in terms of COVID risk analysis. Nothing. The only thing that changed was around the same time, all these churches got to the point where they financially realized, like, oh, we're not making our money, so they went live. So I don't
Yeah.
have any
But don't
expectations
worry,
for
man.
churches.
COVID won't spread in churches
Never,
because the
never.
law protects them.
You guess which state was really bad about that?
Oh, I don't know. Texas or Utah? Texas or Utah?
Pennsylvania.
What?
Yeah,
Ah, I can't believe I missed that one.
Pennsylvania had see the archdiocese from the Catholic side. It's a pretty powerful big church group in PA. The archdiocese in charge of like the northeastern sent down the law, says no more in person. We have to be responsible for for our people, our flock, and this and that. Catholic Church, for all the bad rep it gets with the pedophilia and whatnot, one thing that cannot be denied is that they're awfully good about science eventually. Like me,
Yeah.
so so when it came to COVID-19, the Pope on down was like completely on top of things. They had a mutiny in the state of Pennsylvania. The church, the people on the ground floor mutinied against the archdiocese.
Wow.
And they were saying like, I would lick the floor of my church. We're holy. COVID can't get us. And like that, and they had like a situation, like they had to figure out a way to get these crazies in line, and
Now,
eventually
were these worshipers or were these like the priests in the
the
churches?
priests, the pastors, so the
Wow.
ground troops, like of the Catholic Church.
The child soldiers of the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
That's
So
another topic we're going to have to cover one of these days, my friend.
Oh,
Dude, that kind of madness. I watched that
add it to the
Netflix movie
list.
a couple years ago.
Uh,
Like that stung watching that.
yeah.
But anyway, my friend, we are
But
getting close to that time.
oh, but I
Believe
mean,
it
the
or
main
not.
thing is the people who you expect most to be prepared just shit the bed, and they always do. Your seventh gun isn't gonna help you.
Unless you got a family member who can wield it.
I mean, I don't know how many guns everyone needs. Or like your meal kit isn't gonna help you. Like, like if you're gonna be calling yourself a prepper, how about learn something? Go take a course. REI has courses every weekend. They're great. Any little bit, like, for people to die because they don't know to check their tailpipe has
Yeah.
snow or not. I mean, that's a tragedy. Or people dying or burning their houses down because they never set a wood on fire, let alone set wood on fire indoors. Yeah, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I don't want to hear this rough and, I don't want to hear any more secession bullshit. Like, clearly you can't. So, it's really upsetting. I'm gonna do, me and my research partner are gonna do work trying to write on in the journal about Texas.
Yeah, you definitely have plenty of source material now to work from, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I just can't, just think about it, man. You wake up, you check your mail, and there's like a $16,000 bill.
Yeah, right. Or like I was saying earlier, I got a family member down there who fully expects to get a $3,000 water bill. I
Yeah,
got pissed off when my water bill went up to like $40. You
and
know?
and with her, like, the smart thing is, like, wait a minute, is it more expensive to pay the water bill or to let it burst and have it fixed? Like, which is economically the right choice? Like, that's crazy.
Right, being forced into that position to decide. I seriously hope, with all the fallout from this, that poor folks down there, and I don't mean poor financially, I mean suffering through the tragedy is what I mean by that. I hope they get some sort of financial relief that all this fallout and social media attention and just news media attention brings to the situation. I really hope that there's I can't think of the word right now, Thrall, like a bill forgiveness. I guess like there's loan forgiveness programs out there, right? Maybe they
Bro,
get some
this is
sort of
Texas
utility
and nothing.
forgiveness.
This is Texas, man. You're talking socialism.
All
This is Texas, bro. This is you're talking socialism.
right, well, look, we really are hitting that time now. So the takeaways tonight would be that it's a severe shame that the local all the way up to the state leadership didn't prepare the people of Texas at all. Apparently, this has shined all sorts of spotlights on the poor and failing infrastructure of the state as
Hmm.
well. And then, yeah, where were our doomsday preppers?
Hmm.
Hiding out underground, waiting for the fallout to die down.
They're buying guns.
Yeah, I kind of missed that in New York. But again, that's another story. That's another episode waiting to happen, which is maybe what we should do in the very near future. Now that we're talking about it.
Yeah, probably.
All right, all
Oh
right,
no,
man.
we're gonna update on the Gina Carano situation next week, probably.
Well, here's my hope with Gina Carano is that miraculously, after all the ironically reverse fallout for Disney Plus, Disney, and Lucasfilm over her firing, that she somehow gets hired back. And I want to do the episode on that. This
I highly
fantasy
doubt it. I
episode,
wouldn't bet
fantasy
on it.
episode, Terrell.
I wouldn't bet on
Let me have my fantasy, damn it.
it. Oh, real quick. The weather pattern is going to continue most likely because the polar vortex, remember that from a few years back? Like
Yeah.
that's the phenomenon that we're seeing is the Arctic winds are not staying in the Arctic because there's not enough sea ice. There's not enough snow, which used to cause friction to keep it in the Arctic. So
Mm-hmm.
now all that wind has the capability of moving, and that's what it's doing. It's no longer trapped inside its home. It's allowed to move, so it goes all the way straight down.
So that's what we're probably getting here in the Northeast a bit, is some of that, right?
Some of that. Very, yeah, very like just on the side of.
Yeah. But
But
that's
relatively
cool. That's
speaking, the
cool for all.
coasts are fine.
No
Yeah.
such thing as climate change. It's all good.
Fake. It's a Chinese hoax.
Yeah. All right. On that note, thank you all for joining us. We'll see you
Stay
again
safe.
next week. Be safe. If anybody in Texas is hearing this, I'm not going to say anything stupid like our likes and prayers go out to you, because that's meaningless. But I sincerely hope for the best, that things turn around, and that the government finally steps in and starts doing what's right to help you out down there. Good luck, everybody. Have a good night.